What do you fear most, above all else? Though there are many kinds of fear, I think of them as four distinct categories: as circumstantial or temporary fear, irrational fear, existential fear, and conceptual fear. Like a great fear buffet, your brain has happened to select a certain number of fears. No one is truly fearless. To live without any fear ever in one's life is utopian at best, and might be the scariest way to live. Circumstantial fear is the kind that only takes form during a particular set of elements. The fear of sharks when treading water in the ocean might not be a deeply rooted fear for some, but when seaweed brushes past your leg, it still startles you. The classic horror movie jump scare is a prime example of this type of fear. You hear the music change. You see the protagonist circling in the hallway, and suddenly a character appears in front of the screen. You may not be afraid of ghosts, but you still may have jumped. Irrational fear is what you expect when people tell you they're afraid of something. Supposedly, being afraid of these things is not beneficial for your life, and others can rationalize the problem away. I shouldn't be afraid of heights, nor should someone be afraid of spiders, but there is a history as to why the fear exists, and despite efforts to thwart these fears, rarely do they go away. Existential fear is much like the nightmare to daydreaming about the future. Instead of fantasizing what positive things could come about, it focuses on the negative. The fear of failing to get a job, get married, have children, feel fulfilled, be part of something bigger. These fears are more common than we think, but are not talked about nearly as often. And close to these fears are the conceptual fears: fear of commitment, fear of death, fear of loneliness. These are the innermost fears that keep you up in the middle of the night, the voices that taunt you, some of the more difficult fears to push past. So what are you afraid of? What shocks you? What scares you? What defines you? Now, someone like myself who is riddled with anxiety has a great number of fears, and perhaps the worst of all is the fear of being afraid. The fear of an anxiety attack that cripples the body despite all logic. And I confront that fear willingly over and over, and though I have won very little in my struggle, I know it is the only way of moving forward. Because we cannot do away with fear. We can only move forward with it.